Good morning again. It was so great to get to know you guys a little bit during our first Zoom meeting. You guys did a fantastic job following all of our Zoom procedures. I could see your faces and you were sharing some wonderful things. Thank you. So I want to get started on our next lesson for the day. And today we are going to talk a little bit more about books. And we have to talk about books because we are going to read so many books this year during our pre-K year. I love reading all kinds of books, and I really hope that you guys do too. So this year, we're going to be able to read all different kinds of books about a lot of different things. So I hope you are excited because I definitely am. So first, we want to say, what is a book? Hopefully you guys know what a book is and you've read books at home. But if not, let's just take a quick second and talk about them. Books are what we read to hear a story or get information. There are a lot of different kinds of books out there about all different kinds of things. Do you like princesses? They have princess books. Superheroes, they have books about that too. You're always going to be able to find a book about something that you love and that you are interested in. So there's usually two different kinds of books. There's nonfiction or books about real things, and there's fiction books or fake made up stories. So our fiction books usually have pictures that are drawn or painted or colored, and they are about things that you can't find in real life, like Pete the cat. Are we going to find a cat that can talk? I really wish we could, but that's not real. So these books we read for fun, to make us laugh or smile, or just to hear a really great story. The other kinds of books we have are nonfiction books or books about real things. These books normally have pictures that are taken with a camera. They are real pictures of animals or foods or people. So we can get real information. If I want to learn about bats, I can read this nonfiction story with information and pictures of real bats. So those are the two different kinds of stories we have. We have fiction or made up stories and nonfiction, books about real things with information and pictures. Like I said, we are going to be reading tons of books in our pre-K class. I'm going to read you some books. Our EA is going to read us some books, and you guys are going to be reading some books this year. So we definitely need to know, how do we treat our books, Mrs. Truman? I hope some of you guys know this answer already, but if not, that's okay, because we're going to take just a little bit to learn about how we should treat a book that we read in our classroom or even at our house. So today, I am going to read the story, Froggy Goes to School, and I'm going to just tell you some things that I'm doing with this book that help to make sure that our books stay clean, don't get ripped, and we are keeping our books safe. So when we are reading a book, we want to make sure that we are holding it nicely. When I read you a book on our lessons, you won't see me flipping our book around or tossing it in the air. I hold it nicely in my hands. So if I'm reading it to you, I have it held nicely. And even if I read to myself, I hold it with two hands so that I know that I'm keeping it safe and protecting our book. When we read, we want to make sure that we are turning our pages nicely as well. Because if I just flip through these pages, my pages are going to get bent or they could even get ripped. And if that happens, we have to bring our book to a book hospital to get fixed. And we don't want any of our books to go to the book hospital. So that means we have to treat them nicely so that they stay safe and we can keep them in our class to read them. So as I read, Froggy goes to school. Can you guys look and see if I'm turning my pages nicely and holding the book safely? Thanks. Froggy Goes to School by Jonathan London and illustrated by Frank Remkowitz. Froggy Goes to School. It was the first day of school. Froggy woke up and looked out the window. The sun was high in the sky. "Oh no, the bus!" he cried. "I'll miss the bus." And I'm going to turn this page nice and slow so it doesn't get bent or ripped. He hopped out of bed and flopped outside. Flop, flop, flop. The school bus was leaving. "Wait, wait," he yelled, and he took a mighty hop. The bus hissed to a stop, and the door folded open. Froggy flopped up the steps. Flop, flop, flop. But when he reached the top, everybody laughed and pointed their fingers. Can you see why everyone would be laughing at Froggy right now? I'll give you a hint. What is Froggy trying to wear to school right now? So I'm still going to hold it in my nice hand and turn my page nice and slow. "Froggy!" yelled his friend Max. "What? Did you forget something?" Froggy looked down. Oops, he was in his underwear. He dashed to the back of the bus and hid behind Max's umbrella all the way to school. He tried to hide behind the flagpole. He rolled down the hall like a bowling ball, and in class, he pretended to be a flower pot. "Froggy!" called his teacher. "What?" But it wasn't his teacher at all. It was his father. Froggy rubbed his eyes. He had been dreaming. He was still in bed. "Rise and shine," Froggy said his father. "It's the first day of school, just like you guys." This time, Froggy got dressed. Zip, zoop, zip, 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 zapped. Then he flopped into the kitchen. Flop, flop, flop. He tried to pour milk on his bowl of flies, but the carton flew out of his hands. "Oh, you're just nervous about school, Froggy," said his mother. "Everybody is the first day." "Not me," cried Froggy. Were you guys nervous? And together, they leapfrogged all the way to the bus stop. Flop, flop, flop. At school, Froggy found his name tag on his table. He liked his name. It was the first word he knew how to read. Can you guys read your name? We'll find out soon. It was the only word he knew how to read. Froggy! He read it aloud, louder and louder. Froggy! Cried his teacher, Miss Witherspoon. What? Hush, dear. It's time to pay attention. Again, I'm still holding my book safely in my hand, and I'm turning the pages nice and slow so I know that they won't get ripped. It was hard to pay attention. He squirmed. He looked out the window at the falling leaves. He felt like a leaf. Falling, falling, plop! He fell right out of his chair. Oops! Kindly stay in your seat, dear, said Mrs. Witherspoon. We'll sit on the floor at circle time. At circle time, Miss Witherspoon said, Now, children, today I'd like you to tell us what you did last summer. Who wants to go first? Froggy shouted, Me, 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 me. And so did Max. Miss Witherspoon went, and everyone went. Then they grew very quiet. Now, one at a time, said Miss Witherspoon. When Froggy's turn came, he jumped up and said, Last summer I learned how to swim. And he sang, Bubble, bubble, toot, toot, chicken airplane soldier. Everybody jumped up and joined in. Bubble, bubble, toot, toot, chicken airplane soldier. When, in walked the principal, Mr. Mugwort. Bubble, bubble, oops, cried Froggy, looking more red in the face than green. Mr. Mugwort glared at him. Then he joined in. Bubble, bubble, toot, toot, chicken airplane soldier, till the bell rang for recess. When Froggy flopped off the bus after school, his father said, Froggy, how was your first day of school? Great, said Froggy. I taught the principal how to swim. That's nice, said his mother. But where's your lunchbox and baseball cap? Oops, I left them at school. Oh, Froggy, said his mother. That's why I'm going to school, Mom, to learn. And together they leapfrogged all the way home. Flop, flop, flop. Very good. Thank you for reading that story with me. And I hope you were able to see that whole time that I was reading that book, I wasn't playing with the book in my hands. I wasn't bending the book while I was holding it. And I was not turning the pages very fast. I held the book safely in my hands and turned all of our pages nice and slow so I knew that they weren't going to rip. So, to finish up our reading lesson for today, I just want to review or talk again about what we learned about holding our books and treating them good and treating them bad. We always want to make sure that we treat them good and we don't treat them bad. So let's talk a little bit about what that means. Some ways to treat our books good is when we are walking, we hold our books and hug them. This way I know that I'm not going to drop them or step on them because I'm hugging them tight. I'm not folding them. I'm not twisting them. I hold it tight against my body and give my book a nice big hug. We want to make sure that when we are reading with our books, that we don't have any food or drinks around our book. Because if I'm reading this book and take a drink and accidentally spill it, our book got all wet and that will ruin our book. If I decide to eat some Cheetos, I don't want my fingers to be all Cheeto-y. And then I touch my book and get Cheeto dust on my book, because that will make our book all dirty. And then the last good way is we need to put them away when we are done back in their safe spot. So what are those 3 good things to do again? Number 1, hug them while we walk with them. Number 2, no food or drinks by our books while we are reading them. The third one, turn our pages nice and slow. And the last one is put them away when we are done. Great job. Let's go over here, though, and talk about some of those things that we should not do with our books. We definitely never want to throw or twist or bend our books. We want to keep them safe. No twisting, bending, or throwing. The next thing we want to remember is no food or drinks. We don't eat or drink around our books because we can get them all dirty. The next one is we don't color in our books. Our books all have beautiful pictures in them already. And when we create a book, we can do it somewhere else, but we do not color in our books. And the last and most important is that we don't want to give our books to maybe a baby cousin or a baby sibling. Babies are lucky because they have their very own books and the pages are very thick. Because if your babies are anything like my baby, he likes to chew on the books and he crawls on the book. So that's why babies have their own special book with very thick pages so that they don't get ruined. Our books do not have thick pages like that. So if we let a baby play with them, then they are going to get wet with slobber and they will probably get ripped. So our last thing that we don't want to do is let our baby cousins, brothers, sisters, or baby friends play with our school books. I can't wait to see you guys in a little bit for our Zoom meeting so we can talk about this a little bit more and continue to get to know each other. I'll see you guys soon.